The default controller settings in Battlefield 6 are actively sabotaging your aim, and if you're still using them, you're putting yourself at a severe disadvantage. Search YouTube and you'll find thousands of settings guides, but here's why this one is different. Since the release of Battlefield 6, I have spent more than 700 hours in-game testing all the different controller settings, and have finally found the perfect ones that anyone can use and have success with. If the Season 3 controller recoil nerf has you losing gunfights, and you can't seem to find the settings that are comfortable with you, this video fixes that. In today's video, we go over dead zones in detail, how to find your perfect sensitivity, and every controller settings you need to change to help you control recoil and get more kills. Let's dive in. Yo, what's going on, everyone? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Gabe, and the whole purpose of this channel is to help you guys become better players. There will be timestamps in the video, so if there's a section you want to completely skip, please feel free to do that, but I highly suggest you guys watch the video all the way through. Now let's jump into the settings. We might kind of skip around a little bit, but there is a reason for that, I promise you guys. The first thing we're going to go over is probably one of the most important things you can change on your controller. It's either going to make your controller feel either super responsive or super sluggish, and that's going to be dead zones. All right, now jumping in first thing, we're going to go to controller here and go to edit settings. First thing is going to be controller tuning. I'm going to scroll down all the way over here to where it says controller left stick and controller right stick dead zones. Okay, scroll down a little bit actually, and we're going to turn on this draw tool here. This draw tool is actually new. It's going to make explaining the dead zones a little bit easier. All right, the first thing we're going to go over are what are dead zones, and the easiest way I like to explain this is how much tension you have to put on your stick before your stick actually starts to move. If you guys are a little bit confused, don't worry, I'm going to go into more detail here. So for example, center dead zone for my left stick, I put it all the way up to 99. As you can see, the right stick here is at 1.5. With the 99 number, what that means is I'm going to have to put pretty much all the tension on my stick before my character starts to move. So if we jump into the firing range here, as you can see, the left side is all the way yellowed out and the right side is, clear in the middle. That's because, higher number on the left, lower number on the right. All right, so first thing, let's focus on this left side here. Now, if I move my, I think this is the camera here. If I move my stick here, you can see the circle on the left side is moving. That means I'm moving my stick. But as you can see, my character isn't moving. Now, let's see how much tension it actually takes for it to move. Like in the camera here, as you can see, right there. Now it's starting to move. I was pretty much completely maxed out on my controller on the left side before it even started to move. All right, now we're gonna jump out to the right side here. Now I'm starting to move it. As you can see, it's already starting to move here. That's because the dead zone is a lot lower on the right side. So if I show you this in the camera here, see how I'm barely moving it and the character's starting to move already? That's what we want. That's what's going to make your controller feel really responsive here. So again, the left side here, you can see it's not even moving. There it goes right there. As to the right side, look at, I'm barely even moving it and the character starts to move. So if your dead zones are high, your controller is going to feel super sluggish. The lower the number, it's going to feel very, very responsive. So now that we have a better understanding of what dead zones actually are and why they're super important for your controller to either feel really responsive or really sluggish, we're gonna go back into the controller tuning. And for the left and right stick, for the center dead zone, I want you guys to set it at 1.5, axial at 6, max threshold at 70. Same thing for the right stick, it's gonna be the axial dead zone is gonna be at 6 with a max input of 100. Now I will say, if you put your center dead zones to a 1.5 and you start to get stick drift, what stick drift is, if you're not touching control at all and your player starts to move on its own, you want to bump this number up until it stops. Okay, now if you go all the way up until it's like a 6 or like a 7, you might want to think about getting another controller if you care about that. If not, your controller is just not gonna really feel that responsive. Put it to 1.5. If your controller starts to move either left or right side, make adjustments, go up to a 2. The main thing here is you want this number as low as possible before your controller starts to get stick drift. Before we move on, if you guys were able to understand the explanation of dead zones, consider liking the video, and also let me know down in the comments what you guys had your dead zones set to before you watch this video. Now moving on, I'm just gonna scroll down here to the controller triggers here. The triggers also do have dead zones, which is terrible. I don't even know why they're in the game. Set these all to 0. You don't want any type of delay when you're aiming, trying to shoot at somebody. And we're just gonna scroll back up here to the controller vibration. Controller vibration, it's personal preference. Me personally, I don't like it on. I feel like it messes with my aim, so I set everything to 0. All right, so now we're gonna back out of the controller tuning and we're gonna go to the infantry control settings here. The first one is gonna be infantry controller aim sensitivity. This setting is just gonna be when you're freely moving around the map. It's not when you're ADSing. This one is also very, very important along with your dead zones. If this number is too high, you're gonna have terrible centering. Centering we'll go over later on in the video, but it's gonna make you miss your shots like crazy. The higher the number, you might feel like you're moving around the map, crazy, but what it comes down to is hitting your shot. If this number is too high, you're gonna miss shots. You don't want that. Set it at 45. I feel like it's perfect. You can adjust this one. This one you can freely adjust as needed. At the end of the video, I will show you guys how to find the perfect sensitivity, not only for this setting, but for your ADS setting. But for right now, set it to 45. Moving on to field of view, this one's personal preference. I go between 110 and 120. I wouldn't go any lower than 110. Everything's going to feel super zoomed in. So if it's at 120, you're going to have a wider field of view. If it's anything lower than that, it's going to be shrunken in. If you guys are playing on a TV, I wouldn't suggest you do a 120. It's just going to be just like too much to look at. So if you're on a TV, I suggest, probably 100 to 110 would probably be the perfect spot. But like anywhere from 110 to 120 is going to be great. Vertical aim ratio, we're going to set this at 56. Going down, uniform infantry aiming. This one I see people go back and forth on. This one I just leave it on. I feel like everything feels smooth with this. Zoom sensitivity coefficient of 178. Infantry aim assist settings. I've seen a bunch of other controller settings videos where some people have this at 80 with the slowdown at 0. I've seen a bunch of crazy stuff. Just leave these both at 100. We want to have a max aim assist, so we don't want anything mess with that, so both of them at 100. Dynamic. This one I went back and forth on. I went between dynamic and standard. I keep going back and forth. I think my other controller settings video I had a dynamic. After that video I switched to standard for a little bit. I'm back at dynamic. I feel like it's the smoothest, you know what I mean? You're gonna be able to make the micro adjustments really quick. You're gonna be very precise. Infantry stick input acceleration preset. This is another one that I changed here. I changed the standard. I think before I had like Battlefield 3 and 4. Infantry stick input acceleration preset. So this is another one that I changed. I think I had this at Battlefield, 3 and 4. I changed it to standard. It feels more consistent. This infantry aiming left and right acceleration. This is another one that's going to make your stick either feel, super sluggish or super responsive. The lower the number, the more responsive your controller is going to feel. The thumbsticks, the higher the number, the more sluggish it's going to feel. I had this down at 0. It feels really good, but it's, sometimes when I try to make like a micro adjustment, I feel like it's a little bit too sensitive. I put this at 5. I think it's perfect. Put it at 5. Try it out. All right, now moving on to the movement here. I'm going to quickly go over this. Some of these I didn't change their default. The ones that I did change, I will point out here. These first two don't apply to me because I do have this stick forward sprint on. What this is all I have to do is push up on my thumbstick. My character is going to automatically start moving. Some people don't like it. Me, I like it. I feel like my controller feels so much smoother. The stick forward sprint time, you want this set to 0. You don't want any type of delay when we're sprinting here. These are all default here. Crouch toggle sprint, there's all default. You guys can change these if you want. The only thing I did change from here is by default, the ADS and fire button are bound to the back buttons by default. For me, I just switched them around because I feel like it's more comfortable. Scrolling down, the steady scope, this is one I did change. I changed this to L3, so all I have to do is ADS, and then if I'm using a sniper rifle, it's automatically to steady the scope. Infantry zoom sensitivity. This is another one that I changed that I feel like is very important. I had this at 80 before. It was good, but sometimes I feel like when I'm trying to make a micro adjustment, it kind of messed me up a little bit. I switched it to 65. I feel like it's perfect. It's not too sensitive. It's not too slow. No, it's perfect. Scrolling down to these other sensitivities, I think by default these are all at 100. I just put them down to 80, so that way I just have a little bit more control over, depending on which optic I have on, it just makes it feel a little bit more precise. I just put them all on 80, except for anything 5 times and above, I put it to 85, just so it's a little bit quicker. Scrolling down, I think most of these are just default here. I did change this to interact instead of reload. These are all pretty much just default except for the peak type. I have up only, so that way for down pound cover, all I have to do is hit your ADS button. These automatically jump up, ADS. If you let it go, it goes back down. I feel like it's easier that way. And these are just default. All right, now jumping out of those settings, we're going to scroll down here to the infantry passenger control mapping. A lot of these are default. I will point out the ones that I did change here. I don't think I changed anything here. Let me scroll down, except for these two here. These two originally were bound to the back ones. I just put them to the, actually no, they were bound to the front. I changed them to the back. It's the ping and grenade. While scrolling down here for movement, I didn't really change anything except for slide, where it is at. I put mine to circle. Same thing here. Like I said, I changed these from the back to the front. I'm scrolling down here. Oh, the things that I did change here are my gadget buttons. By default, I can't remember what they are. They're bound to the thumb pad. I played with the DualSense Edge, so it has a swipe pad, and on that swipe pad, it's pretty much like 5 extra buttons. So for the gadget 1, I just, I have to do is swipe left for my gadget 1, swipe right for my gadget 2, and then same thing for the squad progression and my face gear. I just put them on my swipe pad here. I think all these are on default. You guys can see these if you want. Scroll out of here. The ground vehicles, I'm just gonna skip over because infantry only. I didn't really change any of these settings at all. They're just default. Same thing with the transportation vehicles, the aircraft. I didn't mess with any of these. Same thing with gunner. And the joystick we already went over in the beginning. Same thing with the controller mapping. We just went over that. Same thing. All right, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I have 2 drills for you guys can use to find the perfect sensitivity for you. That's going to be the infantry aim sensitivity and the ADS sensitivity. So what we're going to do here is we're going to scroll down to the portal, search experiences, down here to the experience code. We're going to select that, and we're going to type in Z4DT6. Hit enter. Go to this test range here. We're going to hit host. We scroll all the way down here and host. All right, now that we're here in this custom portal map, I have 2 different drills for you guys, okay? The first one is going to be to help you guys with the infantry aim sensitivity. That's the sensitivity we're just kind of moving around the map, not the one we're ADSing. And it's also going to help for centering, which I went over a little bit in the beginning of the video. So we're going to come here. The centering is you want to keep your center dot crosshair on, on center mass or wherever you think that the person is going to be at. In this case, we're picking this bot here, and all we're going to do is we're going to move left and right, okay? As we move left and right, we want to keep that center dot on center mass the entire time, okay? So keep it here, and all I'm going to do is move left and right. And as I'm moving, I want to keep that center dot on center mass the entire time, okay? It might not be perfect, but as long as you're staying, pretty close is good enough. Now, if you're doing this, you're constantly flicking, back and forth, you're having a hard time staying on center mass, that means your sensitivity is too high, you have to lower it. So if you go back into the settings here, the controller settings, this infantry and controller aim sensitivity, this is the one you want to adjust. Lower it down by 5. You start at 45 and you're still having trouble with the target, lower down to 30. Repeat the process until you find the perfect one for you. So again, we want to pick a bot, center mass here, move back left and right, and keep that dot on center mass the entire time. All right, now the last drill is going to be pretty much the same thing, but now we're going to be ADSing, okay? We're going to ADS, we're going to pick a bot, so we're going to pick this one here, ADS at him, and we're going to switch to a different target here. So this target here on the left, I'm going to go back and forth between these two, okay? So now we're going to keep on going back and forth. What we want to do is we want to make sure we're able to stay pretty close to center mass every time we switch without overshooting or undershooting, okay? So if we're doing this and we happen to overshoot constantly, that means our sensitivity is way too fast, so you got to lower it. If we're undershooting every single time, that means our sensitivity is too slow. So again, picking a target here, switching, just back and forth, so it feels nice and smooth. And again, this sensitivity is going to be for, if you go into your settings here, this is the infantry, I think, what's it called exactly? I forget off the top of my head here. This one is going to be for this one right here coming up. For this one, infantry zoom aim sensitivity. So again, if you're ADSing at a target and you're constantly, flicking over, that means it's too fast. You have to lower it. If you're undershooting it, that means you have to raise it a little bit, okay? If you guys found any value in today's video, a like would be appreciated. Also consider subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with videos like this, controller settings guides, weapon guides, anything having to do with Battlefield 6, this is the channel for you. And one last thing real quick before I end this video, special shout out to everyone that's watching this video. Through you guys to continue support, my channel did get accepted into the YouTube partner program, which I'm very excited about. If you guys like this content and want to support the channel through memberships, I'd appreciate it. There's 3 different tiers. Each tier comes with, certain perks. You get custom badges, custom emotes, access to a private Discord channel. More things will be added, but if not, it's all good. Just liking the videos and watching them is much more than the support that I need from you guys. And again, thank you. I do appreciate it. And as always remember to chase your dreams, because your dreams won't chase you. Peace.
Frag away!
Frying.